Greetings, salutations, and welcome back to Sam Bloom Spoke Goods. Coming to you Saturday nights, somewhere in the greater Los Angeles area. We have weathered yet another storm, and it's been just kind of one of those low energy days for me, trying to push on through and complete a few tasks. This is the task at hand. So I'm going to bring you a couple articles today about Fukushima. Seems to be back in the news. When did Fukushima happen? 6 years ago. Which is amazing. This is turning into just a really slow-moving, ongoing disaster that, I don't really understand the response to it. I don't understand what's been happening. I mean, when Chernobyl happened, it was a pretty terrible accident, but the response was appropriate. I mean, they cleared everybody out and they evacuated, people in the vicinity, and then they didn't actually try to clean it up. They, built this, sarcophagus or whatever around it, and they did that pretty quickly. I don't know what's going on in Fukushima. I mean, it seems like they're talking about starting to remove these rods and starting this cleanup process in 2021. That's, 10 years of nuclear, radioactivity leaking into the atmosphere. And, they say it's not leaking into the atmosphere, but I keep hearing different stories. And it's ongoing. It seems like every 3 to 6 months there's, another update, millions of gallons of radioactive water, going into the ocean. Massive amounts of radiation, circling the globe. And this thing isn't even covered yet. It isn't even really, it's just not dealt with. And what's even more frightening is that we don't even know what's happening for real, because they're not being forthcoming with the information. I mean, I feel like the way the Japanese have handled this, and the way the powers that be, the greater powers that be in the world, are handling this, is that they're just trying to tell everybody that it's going to be okay and it's not that bad. And when the Russian thing happened, I mean, there were hundreds of miles declared, off limits, a dead zone. There's they evacuated a huge area, and for all intents and purposes, people are living pretty close to Fukushima. Still, they can't evacuate that much of an area around it. Japan is only so large. So, I don't know what the fallout is going to be about, with this long term. It could be pretty bad when we find out the truth, and we are finding out the truth little by little. So I'm gonna start with this. The first article I saw was a little more, I don't know. It was a little more. The headline was a little more alarmist. Hellhole on Earth discovered at Fukushima. Most people think they have to die to go to hell, but that is not true anymore. Today, in the mainstream press, they announced the existence of a hellhole in Japan at the destroyed nuclear power station at Fukushima. We have a hot spot on our planet that has never been imagined before, and in the face of it, human technology is helpless. Hellhole on Earth discovered at Fukushima. At the levels of radiation now being found at Fukushima, a robot would be able to operate for less than 2 hours before it was destroyed. And Japan's National Institute of Radiological Scientists said medical professionals had never even thought about encountering this level of radiation in their work. The accident is enormous in its medical implications. Through future years, too long to contemplate, we will witness an epidemic of cancer as people inhale the radioactive elements, eat radioactive vegetables, rice, and meat, and drink radioactive milk and teas. Year by year, decade through relentless decade, the radiation will build up, yet modern medicine does not seem concerned. New readings at Fukushima have recorded the highest radiation levels since the triple core meltdown that occurred in 2011. Readings inside the containment vessel of Reactor 2 are as high as 530 sieverts per hour, a dosage that would be fatal dozens and dozens of times over if a human were to be exposed to it. The previous high was a still very fatal rate of 73 sieverts per hour. I believe that, something like 10 sieverts per hour are fatal. And anything, anything between 1 and 10 is going to hurt you pretty bad. The blazing radiation reading was taken near the entrance to the space, just below the pressure vessel, which contains the reactor core. The highest radiation levels ever measured at Chernobyl were 300 sieverts per hour. An incomprehensibly high dose which can kill a man almost instantly. The new record at Fukushima of 530 sieverts per hour is 70% higher than that of Chernobyl. Oh, man. And so, 6 years later, it's this bad. Can we agree that this has been mismanaged on at the highest level? I mean, this is just downright willful irresponsibility. Who's gonna take control of this? This is ridiculous. This almost needs like a military reaction to it, or a military response to it. They should be, the UN should be sending in people and whatever technology that they have to be like, we have to contain this right now. And they're talking about starting to clean it up in 2021. Really, so they're going to let this keep on going for 4 more years. This is unbelievable. If you aren't incredibly frightened by this, I am incredibly frightened by this. I live in California, which is, where most people say the radiation is heading. Excuse me. So, it makes me frightened to go in the water here. It makes me frightened about what's happening to our food here. So I'm going to read one more article on this. It's called Robot Probes Show Japan Reactor Cleanup Worse Than Expected. Robot probes sent into one of Japan's wrecked Fukushima nuclear reactors have suggested worse than anticipated challenges for the plant's ongoing cleanup. The plant's operator, Tokyo Electric Power, said the remote-controlled Scorpion robot was sent into Unit 2's reactor vessel Thursday to investigate the area around the core that had melted 6 years ago, but its crawling function failed while climbing over highly radioactive debris. The robot, carrying a dosimeter, thermometer, and 2 small cameras, transmitted some data and visuals, but could not locate melted fuel. Key information to determine how to remove debris out of the reactor. The robot was abandoned inside the vessel at a location where it won't block a future probe. Preliminary examinations over the past few weeks have detected structural damage to planned robot roots and higher than expected radiation inside the Unit 2 containment chamber. suggesting the need to revise robot designs. Yeah. I actually saw something quite frightening in here. This article. Earlier this month, another robot designed for cleaning debris for the main Scorpion probe had to return midway through because two of its cameras became inoperable after 2 hours when its total radiation exposure reached a maximum tolerance of 1,000 sievert, a level that can kill a human within seconds. The original duration planned for the robot was 10 hours, or 100 sievert per hour. Images captured from inside the chamber have showed damage in structures coated with molten material, possibly mixed with melted nuclear fuel, and part of a disk platform hanging below the melted core. Yeah. This, if this isn't, if this isn't a sign of the the way in which the world is falling apart, I don't know what is. I mean, this is on top of the ecological destruction that we've been meting out, hand over fist for years and years and years, and now we've taken our grand experiment into the realms of ultimate destruction. I was reading somewhere about, I don't know if I covered this in another video, but there were those that suggested that if enough, if we reach some kind of grid malfunction, and the grid goes down, or we enter some kind of economic or ecological collapse, and nuclear power plants start melting down, that there could be enough radiation in the atmosphere to basically melt the ozone layer, or basically destroy the atmosphere. So there's just no chance of life regenerating on Earth. The Earth will become something more like Mars. And that really, that's an incredible thing to think about, that we not only could just destroy ourselves and all living beings on Earth, but actually destroy the ability of Earth to regenerate life. We're going to dead out the planet with our madness. Yeah, I don't know really what to say about this. I don't know what to say about this more than I am, extremely frustrated. And it seems like every day, these things seem to be building up, and we get new information about how bad the future is going to look, and it just, it seems like people are really asleep, and, we're la-laing through life, like everything's going to be okay, or everything's going to continue going, existing the way that it exists now. And it's frustrating and it's frightening to think that, what a rude and terrible awakening is set to happen to, billions of people. Anyways, on that positive note, I'm going to stop this video, and I'm going to come back with one more. Appreciate y'all watching. Thanks for your comments. Thanks for your likes. See you soon.